The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Today, Amber and Scott discuss The Surfer, where Nicolas Cage is full-on Nicolas Caging harder than ever. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
What the hell was that? What the hell was that?
I'm not sure. I thought I knew, but then I didn't.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Hello, everybody. This episode, we are talking about The Surfer. When a man returns to his beachside hometown in Australia, many years since building a life for himself in the United States, he is humiliated in front of his teenage son by a local gang of surfers who claim strict ownership over the secluded beach of his childhood. Wounded, the surfer decides to remain at the beach, declaring war against those in control of the bay. And as the conflict escalates, the stakes spin wildly out of control, taking the surfer to the edge of his sanity. Again, I repeat, what the hell was that?
So, I believe it was the last episode that we did where I stated that there was nothing that I would do differently than the characters in that movie.
Yeah, that was Warfare.
Yeah. In this one, I'm hard-pressed to find anything that I would do that he did.
Oh, my gosh. So... Oh, gosh. The trailer makes it seem like, okay, there's some sort of conflict on the beach with some locals who live there, and they don't want any outsiders using their beach, and he wants to buy this house. And that's kind of all you really see is the conflict during the trailers. So that's what you go into the movie with. And you go into the movie, and that's definitely the opening scene and the tone, but it quickly devolves into a professional-looking man in a suit, driving a Lexus, having an important job, looking like a homeless vagrant in a parking lot who seems completely disconnected from reality.
Yeah, at certain points, I was having a hard time figuring out, like, what was reality and what wasn't. Like, because
they had flashes here and there of him as a child, and then him maybe being the actual homeless person that lived in the parking lot. So you had a lot of weird flashes where you're like, okay, is this foreshadowing? Is this memories? Is this hallucination?
Yeah, I think it's heat stroke.
Yeah. So, okay, first of all, there's already something off with him, because when he is in his normal together state, his wife, who is asking him to file divorce or to sign the divorce papers, mentions about, it was someone at his office mentioned, like, I heard you took off your shoes and were walking around barefoot in a meeting yesterday. So you're already like, okay, well, don't know what that's about. And then sure enough, he goes to use the public bathroom at the beach, which, a public bathroom at the beach, certainly not a clean bathroom in general. But he goes in there, he takes off his shoes, he takes off his suit jacket, and then, of course, because everything is weird and he's being harassed and there's bullies on the beach and there's a homeless person, someone steals his suit jacket and his shoes.
Yeah, so... And mind you, they'd already stolen his surfboard at this point, so...
Yeah, the gang down at the beach.
There's so many. What would you do?
Oh, my gosh.
For one, don't take the shoes off. But if you're going
But it's interesting because he does that, but we know he did that at the office, so then they're like, is he just a weirdo? Or is there something wrong with him? Because I always tell you, everything goes back to an episode of Seinfeld or Friends, which it does. And there is an episode of Seinfeld where we learn that George takes off his shirt when he uses the bathroom. And he goes to a party, and then he comes out and he forgets he's not at home, and he comes walking around without a shirt on. And everyone's like, what the hell? So you were already kind of wondering, like, okay, he took off his shoes, but we know he took off his shoes at the office. So is he quirky? But who would do that in a public beach restroom?
Yeah, I can't say I know exactly what was up there. But if I'm going to do it, considering I've already lost my surfboard and
You don't leave it.
Yeah, you put the shoes inside with you and drape the coat over the top at the very least.
Yeah, you keep those items with you because when someone comes into the bathroom, he steps up onto the toilet like hiding from them. Of course they're going to steal your stuff. Anyway, so there's so much insanity here, and I'll wrap this up as quickly as possible so we can get into some specific what would you do's. But he has a dream of buying a house that's on the hill that overlooks the beach because he grew up in this house, and his father died. We kind of get the suspicion that maybe his dad took his own life, and his mother.
There's no suspicion. They said his dad took his own life,
and his mother took him to the United States. So the house is up for sale. He wants to buy the house, and he wants to buy it for his family, but he doesn't really have a family anymore because his wife has met someone new. She's pregnant. She's pressuring him to sign the divorce papers, and his teenage son is just kind of even reluctant to be in his presence. So they go to the beach to go surfing. They have this encounter with the locals. The kid goes home, and the surfer, because Nicolas Cage's character is just called the surfer, hangs out in the beach parking lot for an inappropriately long period of time, and then he has his surfboard stolen, calls the cops. The cops are in cahoots with the beach gang. Then he continues to stay there, and then his car dies, and he gets a jump from somebody, and he continues to stay there. And then he loses his shoes. He loses his phone and his watch to the coffee shack guy. He steps on glass. He has his Lexus stolen.
You're just giving away the whole thing here.
Yeah, because it's just thing after thing after thing. Oh, then he finally gets a cup of coffee, and then someone pushes it on him, and so then he's looking dirty and scraggly, and then birds poop on him.
We could talk about this
having a terrible day.
We could talk about this in the what would you do fashion, like we are supposed to do here. Yeah. So let's just do an overarching what would you do?
I would leave.
Yes.
The end. I wouldn't hang out in a beach parking lot with a bunch of bullies who are taking my wedding ring and.
Well, by the time they took the wedding ring, it had devolved so fucking far at that point. Yeah. So as soon as I went down there and they were like,
and they beat the shit out of you the first time?
Yeah, you're not local. You can't surf here. And it's clear that they are complete assholes. I'm probably not looking to spend $1.7 million on a home.
Yeah, I thought that was the other part of it too, because as he's hanging out in the parking lot and enduring a deteriorating state of life where you're not even sure what's real anymore, that I'm thinking, who would want to live on this house where you're sharing this beach with this crazy beach bully cult?
I mean, maybe he thought if once I have the home, they'll be nice to me. I don't know. Or, I mean, it's clear that he had a very weird childhood thing that was pushing him to do this, but
he left there when he was 15. He surfed every day, loved living at the beach, and then got ripped from his home. I understand wanting to go back, but wow, when you learn who your neighbors are, and that it's basically this group of testosterone-ridden men who hang out on the beach and beat up strangers and have symbols burned into their bodies as part of this group, that maybe this isn't the relaxing seaside beach town that you remember.
Yeah, maybe it used to be, but it's not now. Or maybe it was.
And I have to say, if you can get a house overlooking the beach
for 1.7 million.
That was what it went up to, 1.7 million in Australia. Wow, I was thinking, what a deal. That house is only 1.7 million with that kind of view.
Well, in fairness, 1.7 Aussie. God, I don't know exactly. You would think as a guy who...
Are we talking conversion rate?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. I wasn't thinking of Australian dollars.
It's actually very high.
Okay, so maybe that's more dollars than American. I was thinking American, but you're right. This did take place in Australia. So there, as you said, there are so many things I would do differently. Why was he continuing to hang out in the parking lot? Like, at that point, he lost his phone, he lost his car. He was pretty much stuck. But then he just kind of resigned to living there. He was drinking the putrid brown water out of the beach restroom sink that he was gagging on. He got bitten by a rat. It was so over the top that things just kept happening and happening. Oh, it was so much. And I honestly thought, okay, this is some sort of hallucination. This isn't really happening until we see that he bumps into a woman that he had gotten the battery charge earlier from, and she has a picture of him. So then you're like, okay, well, this actually is really happening. And he continues again to stick around.
Actually, I was wrong. 1.7 Aussie looks like it's roughly 1 million US.
Wow, that's a deal.
Yeah. Oh, and I know people who live in Australia, and I have heard it is insanely expensive. So that might just be somebody writing. I don't know. Yeah.
So you wanted to dig into some what would you do's. Have at it.
So, like, at any point, he should have tapped out. Like,
and when he wanted a coffee, his phone died, so he couldn't pay for it. He tapped for a coffee earlier. He went back, his phone died, and he was like, dude, if you charge my phone, then I can pay you. And he was like, no, I can't do that. You got to leave me some collateral. And he was, oh, the phone is the collateral. And the shack guy was like, no, that won't work. And he was like, give me your watch. And this is my dad's watch. Give me your watch. So he leaves his watch. He leaves the phone. The shack closes up. What would you do if I gave someone my watch and my phone in a little cult-like alcove of community here? I would not be leaving that shack. I'd be sitting right on top of my frickin' phone and watching my watch.
I would also put a charger in my car.
Well, yeah, but you're you. You have a million chargers.
It doesn't even have to be a
everywhere.
charger. I mean, as long as there's a cord, if he's got his car working, he should be able to charge his damn phone. I mean, if he's got a good enough job, he's buying a $1.7 million home.
Well, it also sounds like he can't really afford it. He thinks this house is a way to win his family back, that he's lost his family, and he's going to get this house and bring everyone back. And then as he's trying to negotiate it, because now it's higher than 1.6 and they want 1.7 because there's another offer, then we hear from his soon-to-be ex-wife that she wants to be an ex even sooner, and he's dragging his feet. So
yeah, and it sounds, from the tone of that, it sounds like he knew this. He'd been told, hey, give this one up, but he just hadn't.
yeah, and he's trying to rally a comeback.
Well, and let me tell you, like, I've actually been in his shoes before, where you are having papers put on you, and they're like, you need to sign these. And I remember when I went through my divorce, I said, I will make you a deal. I will sign these papers when I'm reasonably ready. If you let me do that, it'll go off without a hitch. If you pressure me, I'm not going to sign the papers. And to her credit, she did not. It took me about 2 months to really process it through and determine, okay, yeah, this is what it is. This is not changing. And I signed the papers. Like, she never came back to me, and I said, okay, I'm going to sign them now. Or I think, yeah, I had to tell her because they had to be served to me. So, but yeah, I get when your family is crashing down around you, like, not necessarily wanting to accept that, but it does sound like he might have, he definitely was still in the denial stage of grief.
Yeah, it was, oh gosh, I had weird emotions during this film because it just kept getting worse and worse, and you just kept questioning, why won't he find a way to leave this beach parking lot? Why won't he leave? And as he realizes that the cop who he's reported his stolen surfboard to and that he got assaulted by the gang won't do anything. And then when the cop starts harassing him saying, are you living in the parking lot? And then won't acknowledge that he actually had been there earlier in a Lexus and that this broken down car in the corner that belongs to the actual homeless person was his car.
So
and
I'm wondering if there's a story behind the story that wasn't told but maybe was implied, because obviously Scotty knew who he was.
Who's Scotty?
Scally? Or,
Scally, the leader of our Beach Boys.
Yeah. Scally, Scott Callahan.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
Yeah.
Or Scotty Callahan. They apparently grew up together.
Well, they knew who each other were, for sure.
And it seems like maybe part of the story is that they knew the house was coming for sale, and if that one guy actually was the bank manager,
one of the guys on the beach,
they might have known, okay, he's trying to purchase this house. He wants to come back and be a local. We're going to put him through the paces like no other. And maybe they saw this coming and had actually planned it to the point where they were literally going to break him down to nothing to accept him. And if so, that is fucked up.
I don't think it was that they're going to put him through that like no other. I think that's what they do. You see videos online of how Scally, this is what they do. And this is what the group did, is they break people down till they have absolutely nothing.
But
and then to say that you have to lose everything to then be able to have what you want. That's some part of his little cult-like philosophy in creating men who have a high degree of testosterone and just are strong and kind of guys. That was not unique to the surfer. That is what they do, and that's why everyone on that beach had those marks of being in this group.
Well, yeah, I think they bullied everyone, and everyone probably had some form of an initiation, but that was... I mean, maybe the idea was we're going to harass him until either he leaves or he's broken down, in which case we're going to accept him. But
well, and I think you have to question, honestly, the mental sanity of someone who sticks around for that, because it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And yes, I understand he lost his phone and he lost his car. But at one point, the cop says, I'll give you a ride in. And he doesn't take it because I think he thinks the cop is going to jail him or something like that, which is entirely possible. Well, but when you find the woman who took your picture earlier, who knows you and verifies you're not crazy, get in her car and have her take you somewhere, or have her call someone to pick you up. Do not stay at the frickin' beach parking lot with all of that's been happening. That's crazy.
In fairness, by that point, that dude was so heat stroked, so dehydrated. There is no chance on God's green earth that he was remotely thinking straight.
And he did look like a crazy person. He was going through the garbage looking for food because he hadn't eaten, and he was drinking that brown sludgy water from the bathroom. And he actually got down on the ground and lapped up water or some liquor. I wouldn't even say it's water.
Like a puddle or something.
Yeah, that was in the parking lot in a little divot in the asphalt. So at that point, you just have to think, oh my gosh, if is he having a breakdown? Is it indeed heat stroke? What is going on? Because it was so shocking that it almost became amusing that, oh my gosh, something else happened. Oh my gosh, something else happened, and he's still there.
I mean, I thought this was going to end with him killing himself.
Yeah, I certainly had that thought too. So what would I do? I mean, I think my what would you do for everything pertaining to this movie, I would leave the parking lot. I would not give things away willingly, like the watch and the phone. I would have my guard up. I would never drink brown sludgy water.
It was clear that everyone there was in cahoots with each other. And yeah, I mean...
And that's how small little towns are, is everyone knows everybody, and that's very easy. I mean, I think that is something that we've seen in other movies and TV shows, is small town mentality and how everyone just kind of looks out for each other, and an outsider is an outsider.
But that's the thing, too. Like, he was so obsessed with this house and the broker with buying it that if I'm him... At the point at which my phone is dead and I have no way to charge it, if you really care about the house, get the heck back in town. Like, get out of there. Get to someplace safe to charge your phone. Like, you've already seen that they are going to just
Oh yeah, and he tries calling with a payphone, and then the locals cut the payphone. Even when he gets the phone rings, he wants to pick it up. They say, "Give us your wedding ring, and you can pick up the phone." But then they cut the wire. So,
But they were literally doing things to drive him into madness.
Yeah.
They stole his phone or stole his car and was like,
didn't exist.
yeah,
Like, it
this
never
car doesn't
existed.
exist. Your surfboard was always up there. It doesn't exist. Your wedding ring.
Having him
The
question
watch,
every
the
part
watch
about
was
reality.
the other guy's 21st birthday. Like, it was just everything. Like, they were actively attacking his sanity.
Yeah, and I certainly question his sanity as well, is to think, oh my gosh, are these things really happening? Is he? Yeah, it was a very strange movie.
And where did they live that the son could come back by bike?
Yeah, I thought that was peculiar as well at the end. I didn't understand that. Because if he lived nearby, maybe why are you buying a house?
Well,
don't
maybe
know.
he. Oh, okay. Maybe he lives with the mom, so maybe the mom was close by.
I don't know.
I don't know. It was totally screwed up. And then that psychedelic scene where I didn't know for a while what was real and what was fake, but it turned out that basically, what looked like a weird hallucination sequence seemed to mostly be
Yeah, it was like
what happened.
a cult initiation. You're one of us. Once
wow.
he passed the test and had been beaten down to have nothing, then they're like, okay, well, you have to suffer, and they'd have this chance, suffer to be a surfer. Yeah. So
you can't
what would I
spell
do?
suffer without SURF.
Yeah.
Not in that order, but
Yeah, no. Yeah, definitely not in that order. So, yeah, I would certainly, what would I do? I would reevaluate my association with that house if the crazy beach cult came with it just right down from the house.
yeah. And let's not skip over the probably big one at the end. What would I do if I'm a beach gang with 7 or 8 people and an elderly gentleman
The homeless person that had
pulls
been
out a
living in the parking lot.
gun and points it at someone and
With just cause.
is doing it very lackadaisically, for lack of a better term. Like, he was just kind of pointing.
He was also pushed to his brink. He thought this group killed his son. He thought this group killed his dog, which they did kill his dog. And yeah, he also had been pushed to his own brink in a certain way.
But if I'm anyone in that group, the second that guy lets his guard down, I'm jumping him.
Yeah, they were pretty for being a brotherhood. They ran lickety split when given the opportunity and didn't seem to help the leader who was left behind.
I mean, literally, there's like 7 or 8 of them and one guy.
Big brute, yeah, young, virile,
Any one
strong
of them,
guys.
any one of them should have been able to take that guy one-on-one. I just don't understand why you're just like, I'm just going to stand here and take it.
Yeah. Well, you do that when you have a gun pointed to the back of your head, but there was enough of those guys that got released that they could have come back and done something to save him.
I would have jumped him well before we ever got on our knees. Like, that's just, sorry. I feel like that would have been actually very easy to do. There was like the movie. I feel like the movie got some redeeming value from the end of it a little bit, because it became more of a, not just a riches to rags story, but like this weird full circle of him being in
Who?
like, the surfer
Okay.
being inducted, and like it was just really, it was still really weird. I'm not saying it was a great movie. It was fine. I think there are probably some finer points of it that were maybe missing.
Because there were so many things, and obviously, if you haven't seen it, we spoiled every single part of it. So hopefully you saw it, or you're just listening because you're interested on just what we talk about. But it was a film, and it did have me saying WTF quite a few times.
I can safely say, what would I do? I would not be a surfer.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.